Limited to excellence.
Good morning, class. My name is Mr. Owa. I'll be taking you computer science for SS2. Before we start, let's say a short prayer. In Jesus' name, my Father, my God, I thank you for bringing us here today. As we go on this academic endeavor, I ask that you give us a spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and perfect understanding. In Jesus' name. Today, we're going to be looking at the topic, the central processing unit. So the central processing unit is that portion of the computer that is responsible for processing information, similar to the brain of a human being. Now, if I tell a small child 2 plus 2, he's going to think with his mind and tell me 4. So that's what the central processing unit does. Once you give it an instruction, it thinks and gives you a result. So we have three major parts of the central processing unit. The first is the register. So the register is a small amount of chip memory that is found on the CPU. What the register does is that it stores the data and parts of the program as it's being processed. If you run a computer program, as the CPU is processing it, it needs somewhere to store the data. Similar to if I say differentiate this equation, you are going to need a piece of paper to do your rough work. That is the function of the register, where the computer can do its rough work as it's executing a program. The next part of the computer we have is the arithmetic and logical unit. So this is the part of the computer that is responsible for calculations, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, and also for our logical operations. So the logical operations is when the computer decides what to do based on the input you give it. The third part of our computer is the control unit. The control unit is the part of the computer that tells the computer what to do and how to do it. So it's responsible for fetching instructions, decoding instructions, executing of instructions, and storing the results. For example, in my computer now, supposing I go to Microsoft Office and I press Ctrl plus P. What the control unit does is that it takes this instruction and it decodes it. Decodes it means it reads this instruction. What is this Ctrl plus P supposed to do? Then it makes a decision that it's supposed to print. Then it takes that instruction to the arithmetic logical unit that performs the instruction. So the control unit does not actually perform the instruction, but it directs other parts of the computer on what they are supposed to do. Then when it's done performing the instruction, it stores the result. That's what this control unit is. So we're going to look at other key components that work with the CPU. The first one we have is our motherboard. So our motherboard is the chassis where all the parts of the computer is installed. We're going to look at a diagram before we close. But if you open your computer system, or if you go and repair a phone, you're going to see a flat green board where all the parts of the computer are attached to. That is our motherboard. The next part of our computer we have is the random access memory, our RAM. So this is common if you buy a phone or if you buy a computer, they usually come with 2 gig RAM, 4 gig RAM, and 8 gig and so on. So what the RAM does is that as we are running a computer program here, if you click on WhatsApp, for example, the program code is going to be stored in the RAM as the computer is running it. So the program that is stored in the RAM is the part of the program that is being run. So if you minimize from that program and go to the next one, that part of the program is still stored in the RAM. So when you go back, you can launch it without starting up over again. The next part of our computer is the graphics processing unit. This is responsible for rendering 3D and 2D graphics. If you are gaming, for example, if you want to play a particular game, they'll tell you that this game needs this amount of VRAM. That's for our graphics processing unit. So you need a graphics processing if you want to run 3D applications such as our video editing, our gaming, and PowerPoint also. So next we have our case or the system unit. So this is found in only desktop computers. So the case or the system unit is that big box where you have all the parts of the CPU, all the parts of the computer installed in. So you don't have it in laptop, but you have it in desktop. For a desktop, you have your monitor, then you have a very big case that is called the system unit, where you have your CD drive, where you have your hard disk drive, and where you can attach other things into. So next, we have our storage drive. So our storage drive, I put HDD and SSD. The HDD means our hard disk drive, while the SSD means our solid state drive. So our storage drive is where you have your permanent storage space for your program files, your operating system boot files, your videos, your pictures, and everything you do with your computer. So this is the picture of our motherboard that I was talking about. This is a diagram of our motherboard. So you see this whole flat blue board where everything is attached to is called the motherboard. So on this motherboard, we have our DRAM slot. So this is the part of the motherboard where you attach your RAM disks to. And we have 2 slots here, meaning you can attach 2 RAM disks. For example, you can attach 2 gig and 2 gig, making it a total of 4 gig. Next, we have our power connector. This is where you plug your adapter cord to that powers it. Our computer system runs on direct current. So next, we have our CPU mount and heatsink. So this portion of our diagram is where we attach our CPU, And after you attach the CPU, there is something that is called a heatsink we attach on top. This is usually a fan that helps to cool the CPU, because as the CPU is processing, it's bound to get hot. So next, we have our connectors. So this is where we have these connectors. They include our USB bus, our HDMI cord, our Ethernet cord, where you can attach other things to your CPU. Then next, we have our backup battery slots. Then we have our ROM. So this ROM is the read-only memory. For your assignment, you are going to download the application CPU on your mobile phone. This application is going to tell you the specs of your CPU. On the first page, if you are using an Android phone or an iPhone, you are going to see the processor names, Snapdragon, Adreno, or A10 or A12 Bionic chip. Then if you're using a laptop, once you run this application, you're going to get a CPU name like Core 2 Duo, Core 3, Core 5, Core 7, or AMD or NVIDIA. Whatever you get, you have to put it as your answer for number 1. So number 2, why does the CPU need a heatsink? You are going to answer that and put it there. Number 3, what is the difference between the register and the random access memory? We discussed both of these previously. So you know both of them are units of storage. So you are going to tell me the difference between both of them, and you are going to put your answer there. So you are going to submit your assignment via the WhatsApp platform to the number here. Thank you very much and have a nice day.